Welcome to The Home Show, where we discuss all things Home Magazine on WLNI. Looking for design inspiration, delicious fare, home improvement tips, or hospitality ideas, all from local experts? You've come to the right place. The Home Show is presented by Piedmont Floor Show. Take your next step with them. Find them online at PiedmontFloorShow.com. Now, make yourself at home. Here are your hosts, Home Editor Donna Dunn, Home Publisher Trish Roth, and Rich Roth.
Hello and welcome to the Home Show. We are so glad to have you here as we are kicking off our early spring issue of the magazine. Well, technically we kicked it off last week, but it's been out on stands for a week, and we're excited that you've been picking it up and giving us some feedback and that we get to share it with you. I'm Donna. I'm editor of Home Magazine. I'm here with Trish, our publisher, and Ashley, our producer. We're not only celebrating our early spring issue, we're talking about Random Acts of Kindness Week coming up this week. We talked a couple of weeks ago about that. And then, well, actually last week,
Last
week, yeah. Time is rolling. And this week is Valentine's Day, this Friday. I can't believe it's already here. I mean, Valentine's Day. That's like mid-February. We're already rolling into mid-February.
Yeah, why does it feel like every year January lasts so long until you're into February and you're like, where's the year going?
Mm-hmm.
How is both of those things true?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this year, I feel like there's extra pressure for Valentine's Day because it's on a Friday. It's a weekend.
Yeah, I think maybe people have two different reactions to that. They have, yes, we have to do it up, we have to do it big, all the chocolates, all the flowers, got to go out to eat, get the reservation. And then you have the other side of that, the other people like me who are like, I'm going to stay in my pajamas, maybe even make food at home and maybe not go out for Valentine's Day.
That's me too. I'm raising my hand over here because I'm like, I don't know. It does not sound like a great idea to me anyway, to go out on a Friday night in Lynchburg. I don't cook on Friday nights. We normally do go out for dinner on Friday nights or bring something in, but we'll be going with bringing something in this Friday. So
she's in the nope column. Donna, what about you?
Every year it's a little different. Definitely earlier on in our dating and married life, we would go out for Valentine's Day. I definitely liked your picture of staying in, ordering food, maybe watching a movie. And now it's so easy, to stream a movie, even things that are pretty new. So it does make it tempting, to just kind of stay cozy and warm and turn on the fireplace and, not go out with the crowds and feel the pressure. And, not everyone celebrates Valentine's Day, but for those who do, I would be curious, like, what the statistics would say, like, how many go out, how many stay in and just, make dinner or pick up food. We were talking, like, there's some places around town, like, it's really easy to pick up, like, a nice dinner. Mm-hmm. So, that sounds kind of appealing to me.
Yeah. Right. And back to the early spring issue, even looking on the cover, there's these perfect little treats that you could actually make for Valentine's Day instead of having to go buy candy or something. Maybe you could do both if you want. If you got a sweet tooth, you could do both. But the peanut butter cups look amazing. And I know for a fact that they are amazing.
And I will say that they are all very beginner friendly. So if you feel like you don't know how to bake, you could easily do any of these 3 recipes in here.
And that's a wonderful segue to let you know that we have our food writer, Becky Calvert, coming up in just a little bit to talk about the recipes that we have in the early spring issue. And they're all delicious and chocolate, and Trish has made them all.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I tried them all. And they're all amazing.
So we can personally endorse.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they are on the cover of the Central Virginia issue of Home Magazine. And, we always say this, if you haven't picked it up yet and you're not sure, where your closest location is, you can always find where to find a free copy of Home Magazine by visiting our website, homemagazineva.com. And Ashley gave me a handy dandy little note here with colored text to remind me and everyone that you also can check us out on Facebook and Instagram at WLNI Radio. And you can listen to this show as a podcast anywhere that you listen to podcasts.
Anywhere.
So, if 9 o'clock on Saturday or noon on Sunday isn't always working out with your schedule, you can just listen to us and, in the gym, on a walk, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Just look for The Home Show on any of your favorite podcast apps.
Yeah.
It's there.
And I'm definitely a podcast junkie. What else you can listen to is the Purpose Driven Finances show on WLNI, which is hosted by Allan Malina. And guess what? He's coming in too. We're going to have him on the show today. And he's going to be talking a little bit about our article about building for the future. He's usually talking about building for the future in finances, but we're also talking about building for the future and just thinking ahead about your home and planning ahead for, things that you might want to add on or change and how you can do that now to probably save some money and hassle later. Mm-hmm. So we've got some great stuff coming up on the show today. And coming up next, we're going to have Anya Elward from Piedmont Floor Show sharing your next step.
It's time to figure out what your next step is on The Home Show, presented by Piedmont Floor Show.
I'm here with Anya Elward and talking a little bit about some new design services at Piedmont Floor Show. Yeah. Tell us, what can we expect from you in 2025?
Yeah, I'm here to help alongside the team. My job is to really take the vision and turn it into a reality for the clients and customers and just help alongside them and pick their colors, pick their flooring, which is whatever they would need.
Right, so it's more of a kind of a holistic view where in the past you might have just thought you were coming in to pick a certain product, but now you can really envision the whole space. Talk a little bit about how computer-assisted technology helps with that.
Well, it starts on paper, the basic measurements, and from there I can implement it into CAD. And from CAD, it goes to another software where it becomes the 3D model, and it's really a great vision for the clients to see and what to expect for their final product.
Yeah, so you can really see it come to life.
Yes, for sure.
Well, so nice to meet you, Anya, and look forward to talking more.
Yes, thank you.
Take your next step with Piedmont Floor Show. Find them online at PiedmontFloorShow.com or on Facebook at Piedmont Floor Show. It's time to get our house in order. We'll be right back. Now back to The Home Show, presented by Piedmont Floor Show. Make yourself at home.
Welcome back. And yeah, make yourself at home. It's Valentine's week, and we have so many great topics to cover today. And first up, we want to introduce our special guest.
Strolled over to the other side of the cantina. I asked the guy, why you so fly? He said, funky Cole Medina.
Not everyone gets their own walk-up music.
Wow. Just amazing.
But you do.
Just amazing.
Allan Malina, welcome.
Hey, I feel like old school again. Back in high school when I used to have the guys over and we would do breakdancing in the basement and have break-offs. I guess that's what it's called.
Really?
Yeah, I used to breakdance in the basement.
That's impressive.
Were you better than that Australian chick?
Definitely.
Definitely.
I could have gotten like 2 gold medals
from the Olympics.
From the Olympics.
Yeah.
I didn't practice very much.
But did you do the little kangaroo move?
No, I probably missed that. I tried to do the.
I'm not sure that's old school breakdancing.
Yeah, that's like, oof. Wow.
Well, Allan, it is Valentine's week. Do you have any big plans?
Of course, it's going to be a glorious weekend. And going to celebrate the love of my life, Pam. What are we doing? I have no idea. But I do know the weekend afterwards, we're going to go away to Virginia Beach. I got a room that overlooks the Atlantic Ocean. It's better than the bay, I guess. And then kitchenette, and I'm actually going to play in a pool tournament.
Really?
But she's excited. She wants to go.
So he break dances, he plays pool, he builds houses. What do you not do?
Yes, I probably don't do the dishes enough. And I don't clean up enough. I'm just that guy.
Well, speaking of building houses, this is partly why we had, even though you are a financial advisor expert, we also know that you built the house that you live in. And one of our articles in the early spring issue of Home Magazine on page 74 is called Building for the Future. And the idea is that when you're building your house, when you're making a big expansion like you did, and we'll get you to talk a little bit about that, you really need to think ahead. Like, don't think about just sort of what you need in this moment, but what might you need. And so I guess, first of all, tell us a little bit about the house that you took and made it a home.
Yes. Well, it was exciting. My wife and I, we used to live down in Appomattox, and we decided to build a home closer to Lynchburg. So we built in Evington. And it was kind of exciting, nerve-wracking. So what I did is we started looking for homes on the internet. And it was the one we picked out was probably the top 4. And then I looked at about 1,000 more and analyzed them and things such as that. And in doing that, I wanted to really find one that we loved the aesthetics, the outside of it, but also of the inside. A few things I made a mistake on is, when someone said it was X amount of square feet, I didn't know. I was ignorant of it because I didn't know. And
So you're saying like you couldn't picture how much house that was.
I just didn't know. It was just, it's not really willful ignorance. It's just ignorance. I just didn't know. And so it was several times larger than the house we moved from. And that being said, I was told that I was expected to be 20% over budget. And I was like, no. I told people I would be angry if I was 20% over budget. Ended up being 5% over budget. And we built things like I built a outbuilding shed. That ended up being $37,000 total. It probably ended up being about 42 total siding and everything that. But it's 2 floors, and I think it's 26 by 54. And so that's my woodworking, but it also has an upstairs. And it's like a small house. And the reason I built that is we stored everything in it, but also I enjoyed woodworking. And we did a tremendous amount of work in the house. I finished the plumbing, sanded the floors, laid tile, finished the basement floor.
Right. So when we say you built a house, you bought a house that was like 1,500 square feet, but then you built onto it to make...
No, we built a totally different house.
Oh, you built a totally different house.
No,
I see.
What I was talking about is we first built a shop.
Oh, okay.
That was 26 by 54.
On the
That was
property.
2 floors. Yes, on a different property because we lived in Appomattox. We now live in Evington.
I see.
Sorry for that confusion.
No. But so when you were building your house, you obviously knew some things that you wanted to get done that you wanted for right now. Did you also think about kind of for the future how to maybe build on to what you were doing?
Well, the first thing that I did is I analyzed the current finances that we were in and what we wanted to go and where we wanted to go. And I know, it's an awesome article, Building for the Future. And what would you say, page 59?
74.
74. It's a great article. You guys should check it out. But what I did was I used modern technology in order to track everything. Because it's not that I didn't trust the builders and the subcontractors and things such as that, but if you don't have an accurate number of the price of everything and how much you're spending, then there's no way for you to actually track it. And I decided that because I found out that when you get a subcontractor or even your main contractor, they're not going to track everything as well as you should. And if you're uncomfortable tracking it, either pay someone to track it or get comfortable in being uncomfortable. And so what I would do is I watch the budget in the finances arena, but also what I did was I bid stuff, but I didn't, like one thing I failed to do is I didn't bid the windows. I don't like to really talk about my house because, I've had people get mad at me for the house I built. Not that it's a glorious kingdom. It's just, but I'll give you an example. The windows on the house ended up being $50,000. What I found out is I should have bid them, and I probably could have gotten them for 35 or 40, but also use technology to track it. And
What technology? You've mentioned that a couple times.
I would use a glorious Excel sheet.
Okay.
I mean,
Gotcha.
that's really hard to do. I mean, well, granted, I mean, I probably spend 2 to 3 hours a day in Excel, so it's easy for me. But making a little spreadsheet, I mean, realistically, if your listeners want my spreadsheet that I created to track, I'll send it to them. Because what it does is I actually made it a little fancy. I calculated the percentages each part of your house should be, and then analyzed it. Like I'll give you an example. Our back behind our house is supposed to be a back deck made out of Trex. Install was $38,000, and I was like, "What are you smoking, man? What are you smoking? Seriously, that's not happening because Trex, although it's better than wood, it's not going to last for 30 years." So what I did is I put it in stamped concrete. I actually bought the stamps and let the contractor use them. And then I sold them for a profit, the stamps. And so I was able to do stamped concrete, my entire patio, the size of the Trex deck, do a roof over a outdoor fireplace, did another roof over another stamped deck, and then I did my front porch cheaper than I did the Trex. And so there's ways in order to think ahead, like you just asked me. I know I'm talking a lot, so I'm hoping I'm helping you guys. But also you said preparing for future and modern trends. One thing that I did is, there was supposed to be a sport court in there. And I was like, what do I need a sport court for? So I did the math. And for basketball, you need at least a 24-foot ceiling. So I said, we're not going to do that. And I don't play racquetball. And so what I decided to do is make that into my theater. And I don't know if you ladies have ever had anything built, but have you ever dealt with a contractor and it started, a couple, like a bird went over and a couple drops of rain, can't work, it's raining. Well, they were in my basement, and I said, you know what we need to do? Why don't you just build my theater? So for $500, they built a stair-step theater, and I had my electrician, they wired it for the sound system. So I thought that ahead. And other things that we wired it, I did the Cat 6 in more places than expected because they wanted to do Cat 5, but Cat 6 is the best, internet.
Yeah, Trish is like confused. They're internet cables.
Gotcha. Okay, I wasn't sure what Cat 5 and Cat 6
were. They carry more data over longer distances.
Right.
Okay.
Cat 5 is the normal one you see. Cat 6 is the step up. It's
Right.
He's right. It's the new one.
Gotcha.
And then another thing I did is because I was trying to be thinking ahead for a modern facility, is we did 2x6 construction. So which means the R value of the insulation was 35 to 45% greater than a 2x4 construction. Then the windows I did, they're double paned. I think they have argon glass, not argon glass, argon gas.
Mm-hmm.
But what's amazing is we've had some of those windows, they became like really funky colored, and we have like a 25-year warranty on them, and they're replacing them. It's amazing. So make sure you have the warranties, but also for the heat side. Am I taking too long, ladies? I have no idea.
No, but let me reintroduce you. For anyone who's recently joined us, we have Allan Malina from Servus Capital Management, and he's talking a little bit about planning for the future with your home.
Right. And 434-316-0246. But also, I would look at your heating facilities. What I mean by that is how you heat your home. Because on the house, I got probably 4 or 5 quotes of how to heat and cool my home. Because you want a good system. I don't know if you've ever been in a home and you had that thing out on the outside of your house, your AC.
The heat pump?
The heat pump, thank you. You have that thing and it's always running, always running. And that usually means it's not big enough for your home. So what I did is I talked to, I got many quotes, and it's a three zone system. And I eventually went with geothermal. And it was about $10,000 more, but I got a third of that. It was about $37,000. I got a third of that in a tax credit. And so it actually dropped it to what it is now. Ladies, you know about inflation. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that has affected, getting your nails done, because I don't get my nails done or, things like that, or hair or whatever. Now the same system is $75,000. from
And so
37.
you were saying that you've
Wow.
also really seen good cost savings in just your monthly like electric bill because
Right.
you went with that system.
Yes, because our monthly system, and it's a nice size house. It's $235 a month, regardless of the time. And another thing that we've done is we put Insta-Hot water heaters in there. And it actually recirculates the water. And so it might take a little while, but it's much more efficient. It's propane, and it works very well.
We have that also. And it is. I mean, that's the second one that we've had. We had one in our other house, and endless hot water is an amazing thing, especially if you have multiple family members just all getting ready at the same time.
And I know you have kids. What the heck? My
They
kids.
take like 30-minute showers.
Yeah, I'm like, boy, what are you doing? I just like to sit here with the hot water. You ain't paying that.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, boy, or come on, man.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So you've been very kind to like share your personal experience, but you also day to day you're advising people financially. As people are thinking about buying a home or expanding a home and thinking about their finances, like what advice do you have there?
One, I would don't take the first contractors what they say. I would bid it out. I would do 3 or 4 bids, and if the contractor gets mad at you for that, I have all kinds of words and thoughts that go through my head. But I'm more like, if you are getting offended that I'm getting a price, then why? Then why? I want to question their motives, because if they get offended. And what I would do is I would track them, what they say and how they say and things like that. Also, I would look at the contract once you sign the change orders. I've heard that some contractors love change orders because once 3 change orders go in, it's like the price goes up 20%. I'm like, bro, come on, man. Come on.
So you're saying like once you get to a point where something is so out of scope, like it's so different than the original contract, then you have to do a change order, and that can really escalate the price.
I've been told a change order is if you want to put the light switch and you want to move it.
Oh, okay.
Or if,
Any sort of change order then.
yes, I've heard that change orders. Now, you contractors call me and set me straight. But a couple other things I would do is I would make your house a smart house. That's one thing that I did. And I was nervous about Google and Amazon because they're already listening to me on my phone. And that being said, I went through a different partner, and I actually picked the pieces and did it myself. Like my locks on my doors, I can control them with my phone, and they're keypad, and they have the kind of pad where it doesn't really pick up fingerprints. Also, lights, automation of lights. That also you can get something that goes in your basement near your water heater that if it starts leaking, it shuts off your water. And so use technology in order to check things out and monitor, all those things. And smoke detectors, but also CO2. Is it CO2? No, or
Carbon monoxide?
Carbon monoxide. It's not CO2. It's whatever the official, I don't know what it is. But yeah, carbon monoxide detectors. And also, get your, from a risk profile, you need to get your gas, make sure it doesn't leak. Because we just had, we had an outdoor place, and birds would go in there and chew up the fake logs. Like, what the heck, man? You can't build a fire, a nest with it. But that being said, they checked all the gas fittings.
Okay.
And,
Yeah. Well, this is all so helpful, Allan. Thank you so much for coming. And as we were mentioning, you also have your own show and podcast, Purpose Driven Finances. What do you have coming up?
that is a great question.
Maybe smart home technology and protecting the investment that is your home that you just built.
Right. No, this coming week, what we're talking about is questions you should answer your financial advisor. Because so many people will say, hey, what should we do? What shall we do it? And we're going to probably, that's going to be 2 weeks because there's so many questions you should ask. And we'll cover this. And then months ahead, we're going to cover estate planning again, but also cryptocurrencies. But I want to help people achieve the purpose and plan for life. Give me a call at 434-316-0246.
Well, thank you, Allan, for coming and sharing your financial knowledge, but also your home experience, because we are wanting to help people build for the future.
Thank you, ladies. Have a blessed weekend.
Thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day.
We'll be back in just a moment with more of the Home Show.
We're talking about everything and the kitchen sink. Stay tuned to the Home Show, presented by Piedmont Floor Show. Welcome back to the Home Show, presented by Piedmont Floor Show. Did you miss any part of the show? Visit WLNI.com/The Home Show to hear all our past programs.
Welcome back to the Home Show, and we are so glad to be working through our early spring issue, delving into some of the articles there, and we are so delighted to have with us our food writer, Becky Calvert. Welcome, Becky.
Hi.
And gosh, you so treated us this go round with some delicious sweets for the sweet, all kind of centered on different variations of chocolate and things that I think just make people feel loved.
Well, thank you. I love chocolate.
Well, I know Trish especially loved your peanut butter cups because she is a big peanut butter cup fan.
Oh, yeah. Anything chocolate and peanut butter just is a big win for me. And I will say, too, that I have one of my sons is anaphylactic to dairy, and I made these vegan for him. So I just use the dairy-free chocolate. And I used to have just the ones that I can get for him in the store. Hershey's makes one now, but it was a sunflower butter. So I was able just to use like normal ingredients with his dairy-free chocolate. They looked great. He absolutely loved them. So it was really easy. So they were delicious.
Yeah, and
Yay.
surprisingly simple, the recipes.
Yes.
To get such a rich bounty of chocolate out of these recipes, and yet they were, I feel like, even easier than some other recipes. And so tell us how you picked these particular chocolate recipes for kind of treating the sweethearts in your life.
So the chocolate peanut butter cups, those I have been making for my family for Valentine's Day. Oh, God, probably for 20 years or so. There was a winter where I was trying to come up with something good for Valentine's Day for my husband and my daughter. And it was one of those years where there was a lot of snow. And I just was like, I need to make something that I have the stuff on hand. And I sort of stumbled upon that idea of the homemade peanut butter cups online and just kind of adapted it and rolled with it. And you're right, Trish, it's really easy to make vegan. I have discovered over the years that if you use dark chocolate, it's probably going to be vegan. And since I prefer dark chocolate, I'm like, perfect.
Right.
I could go vegan just because I could eat dark chocolate all the time. So that was how I found the peanut butter cup recipe. And I, the chocolate bark, I was looking for something fun again for Valentine's Day to do with my kids' cooking classes. And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. I love that idea. And you can do that all kinds of different ways with nuts and fruit, dried fruits. You know, it sort of started out as one thing and I kind of have adapted it to others, but that's fun to make and just always have around the house. And brownies, I feel like everyone needs a good brownie recipe.
Yeah, the going back to the slab, I think that would be such a fun activity to do with your kids too, because it was so easy, and it's really pretty too. Like you just melt the darker chocolate first and then you do the lighter chocolate. So white, I guess we did the white chocolate and just kind of pour it on and then you just kind of swirl it around and just make a really pretty pattern and then just add all of your toppings, so to speak. So you really could just do it so many different ways. And I know just for the photo shoot, we were kind of preparing it around the holidays. So I'm like, how am I going to find all these Valentine, type candies? And luckily with Christmas, there was, some good red ones and stuff. So it worked out fine. But I put almonds on ours and it was just really good. And, my son who can have dairy, he's like, Mom, this is so good. I'm like, it was so easy. But I think that'd be a great activity to do with your kids or grandkids.
It is. And, it's also really good with Easter candy.
Mm-hmm.
When you get the Cadbury the candy shell eggs.
Oh,
Those are so
yes.
good on there.
Yes.
That's brilliant. I hadn't thought about that. You could just use that for a lot of different holiday, even 4th of July, get some red, white, and blue M&Ms. And
I mean, you could just throw sprinkles on there. I mean, you could just really go wild. So,
Yeah, it's so fun. And because I have a really, really sweet tooth, and I rank my holidays by my favorite candies, as one does. And I think Easter wins because of the candy, but Halloween is a close second.
Well, we're talking with
It's a great thing to do with leftover Halloween candy, too.
right.
Oh, brilliant. So we're talking with Becky Calvert, the food writer for Home Magazine, and her recipes for Valentine's Day and beyond. Like you said, you can adapt these for all seasons. And one thing that, again, about the recipes that I was so impressed with, they're relatively, straightforward and relatively few ingredients considering what I would have expected. And I know earlier in the year, there just were so many articles and news stories about ultra processed foods and how really bad that is for us. And so I personally am kind of inspired when I can find recipes that are not ultra processed, but also like easy to make. And so talk a little bit, you've mentioned before about teaching kids and how that kind of helps inform you. How do you come to these recipes that are easy enough for kids to do?
I think it helps that I'm kind of a lazy cook myself. My husband jokes that I never make anything longer than a paragraph, and he's not wrong. I don't like, I have a well-stocked pantry, but when I look at recipes, if there's just a long list of stuff, if I don't have it in my pantry, I'm not going to make it. And if it's a long list that just sounds intimidating, I'm not going to do it. And I teach kids, and the classes that I currently teach are 45 minutes long. So we have 45 minutes to make, eat, and clean up.
Oh, wow.
And so it needs to be really simple. And again, I'm working with 3rd and 4th graders, so it has to be very simple. But they also they want to eat good stuff. And so, and I have to keep them entertained the whole time. So yeah, it's you kind of have to figure out, it's a juggling act. But I also, because I have kids, I like simple recipes. I don't know if that was answered the question, but
oh no, absolutely.
Yeah, part of it is I'm just lazy.
I appreciate that. Well, I mean, we're all busy and on the go, and I think it is honestly intimidating and a little overwhelming when you get a recipe that has tons of ingredients that you probably don't have in your kitchen,
Right.
or even exotic, ingredients that are difficult to find in a place like Central Virginia. Sometimes it's hard to find things that you might be able to find in a bigger city. And so I appreciate that. Like, these are things you can find, you can have in your home, you can make pretty simply. I also wanted to ask you, Becky, like you mentioned that you've been making these peanut butter cups for years. What are your family's other go-to favorites for Valentine's Day?
My husband and I started dating around Valentine's Day one year. And so we've always considered that sort of the start of us, which sounds super cheesy and romantic. But so we celebrate by staying in, because going out is, everyone wants to go out for Valentine's Day, and I sort of call it amateur night. So we stay home, and I make a nice dinner, and I, always make sure that there's a nice dessert, because again, I have a sweet tooth, and it's just really low key. It's not about, the flowers or cards. It's just about sort of celebrating us. So that's what we do for Valentine's Day.
Well, that is wonderful. Well, thank you again for sharing your traditions, your recipes, your tips. You are such an important part of our home team. So thank you so much, Becky.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. And remember, food doesn't have to be complicated. It just needs to be good.
Yes.
So just use that approach in the kitchen, and you can figure out some really great stuff by just keeping it simple.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again, and we'll be back in just a moment with more of the Home Show.
We're talking about everything and the kitchen sink. Stay tuned to the Home Show, presented by Piedmont Floor Show. Welcome back to the Home Show, presented by Piedmont Floor Show. Did you miss any part of the show? Visit WLNI.com/The Home Show to hear all our past programs.
Yes, sending lots of love to Piedmont Floor Show. Take your next step with them online at PiedmontFloorShow.com, on Facebook at Piedmont Floor Show, or drop by their showroom on Timberlake Road and tune in for your next step each week on the Home Show. This has been a show that has focused a lot on love, kindness, and home. And just as a reminder, we're kicking off Random Acts of Kindness Week this week. And we've been thinking a little bit more about that since we talked last week. And I think, what the world needs now is love, sweet love, right? So I was wondering if you guys had more thoughts about, like, what can we do this week to show a little love?
I've got a couple of things for all of our kids out there. Offer to help your parents with some chores around the house.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. And then second one is just fill your significant other's tank with gas. Just something that you don't have to do yourself. That's not a great task, just to have that little surprise.
Or remember to do it with your own vehicle before they get to drive it the next day. That's sort of an act of kindness too. Thoughtfulness, thinking ahead. Mine was go offer to walk some dogs at the Humane Society or an area shelter. Offer your time up to the animals. They need love too. There's lots of them, and they need to be adopted. And maybe I'll adopt all of them. I don't know.
Yeah. I have mentioned before on the show, I'm a little bit of a podcast junkie, and I like to listen to one by Kate Bowler. If you all listen to her, it's called Everything Happens, and she's been doing this thing called 28 Days of Loving More, and like every day has like a little idea, and they're all kind of random acts of kindness. And so like a couple that she mentions were to smile at a stranger. And you know what? Okay, cheesy as this sounds, I know this sounds cheesy, but for real, I went to the grocery store the other day, and I just, like, instead of looking at my phone in line, I just like kind of kept my eyes up and like looked around and made some chit chat with people and talked to the checkout person. And I don't know, like, I think we've like lost that art a little bit of just really looking at people in the eyes and talking to them a little bit and showing like, I see you. And I hope that you're having a good day.
Yeah, I was raised to be that way. You just walk by somebody in the parking lot going to your car. I mean, I always look, and if they look at me, I always smile. And it's a nice feeling. It feels like I'm being nice, they're being nice. It's a nice moment. And it's funny how it has the opposite effect when they don't smile back. They don't smile back. I'm like, well, that was rude.
Yeah.
You're rude.
Or when you're driving down the road on your street and you wave to your neighbor and they don't wave back, it's like, oh.
Yeah, it's crazy. It has the opposite effect.
Keep waving anyway, Trish. Keep waving.
We do.
You do the kind of southernish wave where you just put your hand up. You don't even have to wave. You just put your hand up real quick, or do the 2 fingers on the steering wheel. 2 fingers on the steering up. Yep.
But it's like, I see you.
Yeah, I see you. Hi, how you doing?
And like another one of her ideas is give a weird compliment. Like, you're so good at parallel parking.
You got to be careful with those. Sometimes they can sound condescending.
Well, that's true.
Especially if you're not good at
Well, I gave a
parallel
weird
parking.
compliment to the checkout guy. Like, I didn't want to seem like too weird because he's probably about the same age as my son. And I didn't want to be like, wow, you have great hair. Because, like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to be like the old lady who's like making the young guy feel uncomfortable. But so I was like, do people always tell you what great hair you have? And he said, yes. And he just like smiled, this cute little smile. And I was like, well, you do. I said, my husband has great hair too. And he's like, oh, well, I said, he's always had great hair, even now. And he's like, oh, that's good because I don't want to go bald. I'm like, well, he's not. Not that there's anything wrong with being bald if you're out there. love all the people. But anyway, I just thought that was fun. I gave a kind of an awkward compliment, but it worked out okay.
I always feel like, like if I have a good rapport with somebody, I always feel like you say weird compliments. It makes me think about, we're talking about Kira, the art director for Home Magazine. Love her to death. And, she and I banter. And when I have a banter going on with somebody, sometimes we're a little mean to each other. But it's all in jest. So I feel like that's my way of loving her and being kind to her is by being mean to her once a day.
Yeah.
In the office.
Once a day.
But I could be weird to her instead. Of being mean and just say, hey, you have great earlobes.
Yeah.
There's some good earlobes you got there.
Shout out to Kira and
Her great earlobes.
her great earlobes. Yeah. Well, they say, you often see someone, right, and think of a compliment in your head and you don't say it out loud because you think it's going to be weird. But you never know. Like, I will say, today's guest, Becky, you are so fabulous at coming up with recipes. I mean, that's actually not weird, but
She is.
like she tests them. She's very thoughtful about it. Big shout out to her. And also shout out to Allan, who is so fun and so sweet and such a talker. Shout out to Allan for being such a great talker.
He carried us, and I'll be transparent. I mean, we were in a pinch this week, but a lot of people the weather's been changing. People got a little sick. We had some cancellations, and Allan just showed up for us today a little early before his show. And we can't thank him enough. And he just can talk and talk and talk. And we said, thank you.
Yes.
We're tired because you guys have been working on
Smith Mountain Lake. Oh my goodness. It's
Yes.
going to be a big one.
It is. I think it's the biggest one
We've had.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. I was proofing it the last couple of days. It felt it felt like a really big issue. But you all will be seeing that in March, hearing about it. But we're working hard to get it out the door right now.
Yes. We're excited.
Well, really quickly, next week, our friends from Piedmont Floor Show are going to drop in for an extended edition of Your Next Step. So we hope that you'll join us again next weekend and have a wonderful Valentine's Day.